All right, moving on. So sponsorships. Jason, you've had some sponsors before.
Getting a sponsorship is both easy and hard. And the reason I say that, so you can get a sponsorship super easy. Because you can email a company and go, hey, I want to be a sponsor. And Subaru has done this, Monster has done this, Rockstar has done this, where they say, cool, what we're gonna do is send you a backpack and a hoodie or a shirt or just something that costs them no money. And then in return, they want you to send them like 10 minutes worth of content every week or every couple weeks. Yeah. So it's not hard.
No, Take Flight did that for a few people we know.
Yeah, so it's one of those where getting a sponsorship's not hard if you just kind of email the right people. Getting a sponsorship worthwhile is super hard. Yeah. But a majority of big sponsorships, not just necessarily parkour team sponsorships like Farang and Storm and all them, because their sponsorships, I was talking to Giles from Modus. He owns Modus and he sponsors athletes, and it's funny because he made a comment, and hopefully he doesn't get mad at me for saying this. He had to tell his athletes that they had to stop wearing out their shoes because he could barely afford to buy them shoes. So
sorry, Giles.
Yeah, we love you.
Thank you for trying.
Yeah, but it's one of those where like people will sponsor you more for an event than they will for a lifetime. So even like Red Bull sponsorships, Red Bull sponsors make money off of commission. So if they get sent to do a shoot or they get sent to do a competition or something like that, they get paid for that time. But when they're not on camera or drinking a Red Bull or whatever, they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
It's just they get a shirt and they get a hat and they say rep this as much as you want. And if they have a big social media following, then maybe they get a couple bucks here and there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so hard to actually make it as a sponsored athlete. All those athletes have other jobs, whether they're clothing companies like the Farang guys all have a stake in the Farang clothing, and like DK, if you guys know who DK is, he's one of the biggest Greece athletes right now.
Sure.
But you don't hear about anything else that he does because it's literally all he does.
Sure.
The only way to make money at being a sponsored athlete is you have to consistently be doing competitions and traveling and seminars and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and the social media thing is huge right now. You got to be making sure that you're constantly uploading, doing all this and that. You have to make sure you're going to every single competition they want you to go to.
Yes.
It's a very big and contract that you're going to be signing with those bigger companies.
Oh yeah, and it's fun. Like, don't get me wrong, being a sponsored athlete is fun. It's fun to walk around and tell people that you're sponsored by someone. But with that comes a lot of stake because the second something happens, you get injured, you get put in bad lighting, you do something like this, instantly you're no longer an asset.
Yeah.
And if you find a good sponsorship company, they'll stick with you.
Unfortunately, for those of you guys who don't want to sell yourself, that's just the way it is. Yeah. I'm sorry, you have to be able to promote yourself because you're that influence that company needs to be able to, be able to get followers, people to jump on the bandwagon and want to be a little bit like you, or maybe want to rep the same things that you wear.
Oh yeah.
So you really, really do have to sell yourself. And
if you want to be a sponsored athlete, start now. And like you said, you're selling yourself. You are a brand at that point.
Yeah.
So don't do anything that would make your mom shake her head. Quite literally. Don't post on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, if you have one of those, Pinterest. Anything that could compromise you at all in any way, shape, or form. Because you have to be almost like that perfect child. You have to have the halo around your head. You have to be known for just being a goody two-shoes in a sense.
Yeah.
Because that's what sells well. You have to think in Hollywood, or even, I'm going to use Michael Phelps. I'm going to throw him under the bus for a second. He was the golden child, and then he got caught once doing something dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And that just wrecked him for years. And then he came back and won 6 more gold medals. So, I mean, if you are that good of an athlete, go for it. But still, you have to be super, super careful. You just have to be so aware that nothing's private anymore.
Yeah.
Ever. The second you upload, even if you think your Facebook is private, if you upload it to Facebook, it's out there for everyone to see.
A lot of the majority of companies too are going to be very PG oriented companies. So even if you have a bit of a bad mouth, you better learn to quit now. For one, you cannot work at our gym if you drop an F-bomb. It's something simple like that. It's just not, it's not gonna fly in here. We want to be the role models that all these kids who are growing up need. So if we're gonna be running our mouths and just saying dumb stuff or doing dumb things, and then if we're posting all that kind of stuff on social media, forget about it. We're in this for the positive, and we want to bring a positive light to all these things that we're repping. So what would you rate sponsorships, Jason?
1.5.
A 1.5.
It's right up there with stunts.
Stunts and sponsorships. They kind of go hand in hand, though,
They
too.
really
so
do.
Maybe sponsorships and stunts, if you combine them, then you can live off of it.
Yeah. And not only that, you have to be very, 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 very good.
Yeah, you got to be good or have something very unique that nobody else has.
Yeah, like in that light, like there's a saying in the music industry that 5% of the people who go into music industry make it, and 5% of that 5% make it in performance.
Oh yeah.
I feel like parkour is just as big, like just as small as a number, if not smaller, just because we're still a growing community.
Yeah.
So like, just be aware, like go for it, live your dream, but you have to be realistic at some point and just understand that sometimes it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Other ways that we can make
So the one I actually
living?
just thought of is construction. Just thought about that, like the building construction. You have to think, like,
my
You've
gosh.
been paid how many times now to build warped walls, and like we actually have a friend who's being contracted for actually quite a bit of money to build portable warped walls that literally just lay down on a trailer that people can take, that they can be rented out and like taken on location.
I didn't think of that.
And like even the boxes that we helped design, like all those boxes, all of those are revenue, and it's super weird because like you don't think about it. Like if you saw his face the second he said, I said construction, he gave me that like weird look. But no, like because he's been asked, because you've built how many warped walls now, not including ours?
I believe I've made 6 warp walls.
Yeah, and he got paid for every single one that he built.
Yeah.
So
which is revenue that also goes back into our gym, and we'll get it. That's a whole nother bag of things to open, but
it's something I just thought about.
No, that's genius. Yeah, you guys might not even expect it, and I never even thought about that too. But yeah, you guys can make a living off of making obstacles. You probably have already built stuff for yourself to do parkour vaults, or you've already built something to hang from, like obstacle wise. And so if you guys there is one caveat to all of this though that I don't want to encourage people to get in trouble with, and again, legalities. I know it sucks, but in the US, like that's something we got to deal with. And like if somebody were to go get hurt on one of the things that I built and it wasn't insured, or I didn't have a release or something like that along those lines signed, then you could really find yourself in a sticky situation. So we're going to do a whole episode on liabilities because that's such a nasty topic to go over. Unfortunately, it's just something that has to be taken care of, and it's something that we have to put in place for people to be protected and taken care of if, God forbid, injuries do happen. And in any sport or any physical activity, there's always going to be injuries involved in some form or another. So just make sure you protect yourself, but also protect, whoever's going to be at your facility or on your obstacles, or even a part of your performance. Like we do on a performance level, we do this thing that we love to do is like a flip line where Jason will line up a bunch of people on stage and then he'll side flip over them, and there's a little risk value there.
Cringy.
Like what if one of those like parents or whoever we're flipping over decided to just get up and wave, hey, that's Jason's knee taking their head off. So there's always going to be some risk, but we'll save that for another episode because that's a topic I don't want to talk about. So
it's a bummer topic. Let's get off of that topic like right now.
The fact that on our scale of 1 to 5, 1 being like maybe you could have top ramen daily, like, or a 5 you can actually afford a steak dinner and pay for rent. In the parkour and ninja world, I would really put the whole gym thing at a 3, maybe 3.5 at best, simply because of the overhead. There's just so many expenses that go along with this, unless you score a sweet deal with a location that you don't have to pay for. So unless you're in one of those oddball states where real estate is really not expensive at all, then you can really like kick that to the curb and then like open up a sweet gym and invest all of your energy, time, and money into your staff and your equipment. Unfortunately, that's not the case really in Colorado. No, we're probably spending well over half of all of the income we see monthly on just rent alone.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's probably the bummer part about it. But the good news is it really opens up all the avenues. Like we get more calls for entertainment jobs. We're constantly getting emails for doing performances. We're constantly getting hit up for setting up certain events. We're always being reached out to obviously teach classes. That's the main core of having a gym, is being able to provide that educational environment for everybody. And then aside from that, what else do we do? Building, there's that.
Yeah,
I mean, we talked about
it a little bit.
Yep. I mean,
curriculum building.
Yeah,
for sure.
curriculum building, and then you get into the whole avenue of like certifications, and you can go and kind of spread that knowledge to other facilities, which it takes a lot of time to build all of these things up. But it definitely pays off in the end. But again, this is not the kind of business you want to get into if you hope to be, driving a Lamborghini or owning, a 2-story house someday with more than a single bedroom. So.
It's super funny because I was actually thinking about that. One of my favorite things that I've ever been told by anybody, wasn't even a parkour person, because somebody's like, oh, why don't you do it for the money? And he quite literally looked at whoever they were talking to. He's like, if I was doing this for the money, I'd be a doctor or a lawyer.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. And if you have made it, you're in the top 5%. If you've made it and you're successful and you're able to feed your family off of Parkour and Ninja Warrior,
you're in the top 5% of the 5%.
Probably, yeah, the top 5% of the 5%, and that pretty much sums it up. So I hope anybody who's watching this vlog kind of like takes that to heart and realizes, maybe I don't want to do this. But if you're still watching and you're like, yeah, I still want to do this, then you're definitely in the right place. And you gotta come from a place of passion, and you gotta love what you do when you walk into work every single day. It's not always gonna go both ways, so you gotta find what you're good at and just hire people who are really good at other things that you suck at.
I don't know why he's pointing at me. What am I better at than you?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. I get exhausted. This guy works more hours in the gym. I want to point that out. I work a lot. When you own something, you have to work constant 24 hours a day. It's not a 9-to-5 job. No. But I definitely don't spend as much time in the gym as this guy does. I don't think anybody at our gym spends as much time in the gym as this guy does. And so I certainly would highly encourage you guys to find yourself a Jason whenever you get into your career or end up opening up a gym. Because there's no way you're going to be able to handle that workload on your own.
I mean, and if you're curious as to what a Jason is I literally drop things when they call me. Like when I first got hired, I quit my job because I worked 2 jobs when I first got here. And it was funny, I actually quit my job initially, because they were like, hey, we want you to work this event that's going to be like 3 days long. And I was like, oh, I can't get out of my other job. So I literally put my 2 weeks in early enough so that I could be done before that event happened.
Yeah.
It was actually originally why I quit my retail job.
Dude, and thank goodness, because that you came in at a time where it was like, yeah, we could run things by ourselves. Me and Will were handling it. Yeah. But then it was almost like 2 months later where we realized, like, dang, what were we doing before we had a Jason? We were able to get not only a new audience, but also be able to just accommodate more people who are coming through that door so they had a better experience overall. And speaking of which, we are able to do that on a consistent basis here. For example, Will is in London. Actually, no, he went to Canada, then he went to Ireland, and then he went to London, and he just got back. He's actually right over there.
Yeah, you can't see him.
Yeah. Will, come here. His plane just landed, and Will came back.
What day is it?
He flew all the way here, so now his arms are tired.
Yeah, but while Will's out there,
no joke.
just like us, Will makes a salary. So while he's out there, he's still getting paid, and the gym is still running successfully. Even better when he's got. No, I'm just kidding.
Ignore that one.
But for the most part, that kind of thing is impossible. I have some really, really good friends who have some fantastic, phenomenal parkour gyms, and I know for a fact, like, I don't want to put their names out there, but they have to shut their entire gym down for the entire week that they go to compete on Ninja Warrior or whatever it is. If they need to take a family vacation or be gone for 3 days, they're closing the gym. And that's how I don't understand how you're going to keep a facility open, let alone a business running or growing, if you have to turn it off.
I'm going to bring up Giles again. Hi, Giles. So I sat through a seminar, and actually Will did too at an event, and he talked about all the things it took to run a successful business and a brand and all that stuff. And one of the things that he said was the worst one to do, but the most required one to do, and you can assure this one, is personal sacrifice. Not just sacrifice in general, but like personal sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like gym owners who shut their gym down for a week because they want to go do something aren't making that like final step to be as successful as they could be.
Yeah. And especially when it comes to this gym, like, if you were to call in and be like, oh, I've got the flu today.
Yeah.
And then Will is like, oh, I've got to go cover all of our school program classes because those are happening at the same time our gym is running. And then, we can't rely on our other employees, who knows what, but there's always going to be something like that. And, I've got to be, get up right away, hop in my car. Sorry, I can't hang out with you. I got to cancel all my dates with my girlfriend or whatever I have going on. Like, oh, nope, you have to handle this stuff today. I got to go straight to the gym and take care of it. Yeah. And that's just, it's not like a normal job where I can just, take a day off. No, I have to be at the ready on call, unfortunately. But that is why it's more necessary to have a good team when you have so much responsibility.
Yeah, I like to compare it to the metaphor of everyone says, shit rolls downhill.
So I'm going to let you finish that, but we had a segment about language earlier.
We did have a segment about language.
So rephrase it without language.
Okay. They have this saying that says,
poo-poo
rolls downhill.
I'll edit that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a snowball effect, and if it's not taken care of, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until everybody is looking at this big heap of poo-poo. And so you got to have people to step up and take responsibility. And there are so many sacrifices and responsibilities that you got to make when you have such a big enterprise, if you will. There's so many facets to what a gym can really provide, parkour and ninja-wise, and it should be everything. You should be able to host birthday parties. You should be able to sponsor athletes, train and teach kids, adults, all ages. You should be able to create an environment for rich learning and growing. And the front office is all about sales and really that presentation, marketing,
Personable.
advertising. That's another thing we didn't even get into is like you can make a living off of advertising in the parkour and Ninja Warrior world. I'm sure you could hit up some of those big top tier ninjas and be like, hey, I want to promote you, I want to rep you. And hands down, they're probably going to be able to provide you with some sort of job or some sort of small income or trade, if you will. There's really a lot. And that's what I love about owning a gym and dread at the same time. There's a lot. We hope you guys find the direction that's right for you. I think in a nutshell with this episode, this two-part episode, you guys have taken into account to keep an open mind. If day one you want to be the best, biggest, most amazing sponsored athlete in the world, then
I wish you all the luck in the world. But
there's other options, and you might find out that you're better at teaching. So I hope you guys find what you're searching for. Will, how was Ireland?
Ireland was beautiful. I stayed in Dublin, and they have a saying, and just a little travel tip for everyone is stay in Dublin, but don't stay in Dublin. Get out, check out everything around in Ireland, because Ireland has so much to offer.
Anyway, join us next time, guys, for, or actually we'll probably do a little fun clip of Will's journey across that side of the world.
from what we understand, it's a lot of walking.
Yeah.
So much walking. Oh, wow, did I walk. And I also sat on a lot of trains and buses.
The rights to 500 miles and just have that song play the entire time.
All right.
Accent works and everything.
All right.
He chose the worst part of the song to like try to get you to know what's going on.
I'm going to let him keep going because we'll just edit to that.
Oh, God. All right.
And when I wake up,
Bye.
I wanna be the man. There's something.
I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. Da-dun-da, 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 da-dun-da.